Hi, I'm Rose, I'm a beauty journalist, and today I'm joined by Peta Dunstall, who is the hair and makeup designer of the upcoming Amy Winehouse biopic, Back to Black. So Peta, what attracted you to the film?
Amy Winehouse. I think it's as simple as that. She's an iconic shape. You could do an outline, a silhouette drawing, and you know exactly who it is. So I think there's only a few people on the earth that you can do that with. The Queen being one of them. I think I've seen a few sketches of David Bowie in a certain period that you know. So I'm like, yeah, I want a piece of that. I'll have a go. I want to say creativity almost became secondary in a way because there's so much real evidence. There's footage and fact. So it was probably the only job I think I've done where I could Google and see things in newspapers and cheap magazines that she was in all the time. The creativity sort of gets taken away because I'm matching something. I'm trying to create something that's real.
Along the way of finding all of your references of Amy in particular, because they were all based on, real moments, what were some of your favourite things you learned about her that you didn't know before you started the research?
I only became a fan really when the Beehive happened. I knew the music before, but I didn't really know the girl who sung that music. And then as soon as that look developed, I was intrigued. I was interested. I wanted to know who she was. So for me, even watching the film, I've watched it a few times now. Her early years, that was the bit that made me the most emotional. Actually, watching that in the cinema. Her early years, I think that was my first cry when she comes out the bathroom, and she's at her nana's house and she talks to the bird. I'm like, nothing's happened yet. And I'm crying and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm crying because I know how it ends up. And she's in this loving house with this loving family and she's got so much passion and she's amazing then. And I think, we obviously know how it's going to end. And that's the bit that made me the saddest. She came from a nice family that loved her. As a fan in the day looking at her, I didn't consider anything like that. I just saw a talented girl sort of go off the wagon a little bit, and that was sad. But I didn't think to sort of track back and go why and how and where does this girl come from. I don't think I asked those questions.
And I don't think anyone did, and I don't think we were shown her whole story.
No.
We were just shown this really sensationalised version of her.
Yeah.
What a challenge then for Marisa, having to capture a story that is so emotional and that a lot of people feel very attached to. Were there any particular moments where you felt her shift and adjust into the character? Because I also read that of the 8 girls shortlisted, she was the only one that didn't come dressed as Amy, and then she got the part.
I know, right? Isn't that cool? That's amazing. I have obviously a limited time with her in the truck in the morning. So it would be like, oh, okay, for an example, like Glastonbury, building that, doing that, getting that ready, having a team of people help with the body and tattoos. And then I'd go to set, rush to set with all my bags and, oh God, epic morning. And then I'd get behind the monitor and then just like Sam said, something happens.
Yeah.
Something happens and it becomes, she could have a blonde bob on, to be fair, and I would still see Amy Winehouse because it's her body, her movements, and of course the accent. And then I'm crying behind a monitor yet again.
I think the makeup and hair was so crucial in the storytelling.
It was a little bit different. I suppose the interiors of like when she's in the house and she's by the jukebox and she's in the bath and things like that. Never really seeing a fresh face. There's always like remnants of mascara or something going on, or bedhead that's been there for a while and stuff. So there's always something that's not fresh. There's always some kind of grit going on.
I read this quote. It was from Alison Owen, and she said that Amy said that when she was feeling less secure and less confident, she always wanted more.
Yes.
So the beehive would get bigger and the eyes would get blacker. And then Sam Taylor Johnson said you'd think all of these things would diminish with her feeling more vulnerable, but actually everything grew taller, like this incredible layer of hair.
So true. So true.
Because everyone has such a special place for Amy, and people feel so connected to her story and have done for such a long time, did the impact of this feel different to you than other makeup or hair jobs that you've done?
I felt a responsibility, I have to say. When the job was offered to me, I was obviously so excited and was thrilled, and then very quickly I had imposter syndrome and thinking, oh my God, this is like, everyone knows what she looks like. I can't get this wrong. The best thing, I guess, is be able to do a Google check. Normally it's months in looking at books and cross-checking things and stuff. This is, it's so current, but not. So I still feel like it's period, because there's certain things that modern day I couldn't put in front of camera. Like everyone's eyebrows right now is so different to what it was there. So it's still period far as I see it. It's far enough back to be a little bit, not quite right. We've moved, even putting her hair extensions in that scene in Primrose Park. There's no way, even like the most basic girl at home putting her clip-in wefts in nose, that you sort of want to try and create like a solid line of weight. Where in those days, we were just grateful to have something that could clip in, and you'd put it in and it would be almost rat-taily, because that's what you didn't think to buy 2 packets. You just bought the one and made it work, and that's what she had.
I read this in, it was a quote from Sam again, and she said that she always wanted the hair and makeup to feel like Amy could have done it herself in the loo.
Yeah. Totally. And I love in the movie how she goes, I'm just a bit vintage, isn't it?
Yeah, I remember that part. Yes.
I love that. And that helped remind me when I read that in the script of going, because it's so easy to go, oh, beehive. It wasn't like a 60s beehive.
No.
It was literally like a bubble, a bump on top of a head sometimes. The profile on some of them was so skinny and unusual that it was obviously nodding to the 60s, but really it was a different beast as well. It was definitely, we can use the word grungy because it was, but it definitely was taken from that, but it created a whole different, a different time within itself.
What do you hope the impact will be of exploring Amy's legacy in Back to Black?
Maybe in reflection, when you look at someone like Amy Winehouse and you realise what the press did and the invasion, and how nosy everyone was in wanting to know, probably rather than the good things, the bad things. It would be nice if we could sort of stop doing that. Hopefully a reflection on how we look at people in the public eye, and maybe just be a little bit kinder, possibly.
I couldn't agree more, and I would really recommend seeing Back to Black if you haven't already. I thought they handled Amy's story really sensitively. In the meantime, it was so lovely getting to know Peta, and I'm going to come back with a part 2 to show you everything from her kit that she used to transform Marisa. You can also read more over on my Substack Love Letters, or listen to the Love Letters podcast for an unedited version of our conversation. But I'll be back soon with part 2, and I really hope you enjoyed it.